How you doing? Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today for Brazil D23. You're joining us virtually because we know you are hard at work in New Zealand on your upcoming filming Avatar, Fire and Ash. Can you share where you are in the process and what you're most excited about? Welcome.
Well, we're in post-production, and that's a process where I use a virtual camera, a handheld camera, and I make the shots for the film, and then we complete them in VFX. And you know, what's exciting to me right now is that as we complete these shots, I see all the little detail, all the little nuances in the actors' performances coming out, and how real these people are, even though they're 10-foot tall blue aliens, you know, but to see the work, the detail in the work that Sam Worthington did, that Sigourney Weaver did, Zoe Saldaña, Kate Winslet, you know, all the others, and to see that they're living, breathing, real people with real heart and real depth of the soul. And as we see that emerging every day, when I view the finished shots as they come in one by one, or sometimes 10 or so at a time, I say to my VFX guys, it's like Christmas morning, every morning, when I see the shots that were rendered the night before. You know, I've been working on this film for almost 4 years now, but this is the best part of it in a way. I mean, I love working with the actors, don't get me wrong, that's the true act of creation. But right now we're seeing it all come together. It's pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine. The intention of thought and how you perfect even the smallest details on the Avatar films are part of what makes your film so groundbreaking and innovative. Can you talk a little more about your approach to the filmmaking process and how the incredible performances of the cast are able to come to life on screen?
Well, you know, I mean, look, it's about seeing the detail and seeing the big story at the same time, and I think that's one of the hardest things for a director. You know, when you're building a world, when you're creating the creatures, first thing you do is you surround yourself with great artists. So that might be the design artist, the concept artist, the creature designer, but of course you also surround yourself with great actors, you know, and you respect them and you get into a great partnership with them, and you learn to trust them. So I write these scripts. I know what every moment means. I find that the most important part of my process is communicating with the actors. First, I give them everything I've got. I give them every piece of detail on the characters that I can offer. And then I say, all right, now it's yours. Now it's yours, and you come back to me with who you think this person is. And it's always a little bit refracted through the lens of their own heart and soul, who they are as a person. But obviously the art of acting is to create something new in a character. And since we're in the third film now, it's not just creating a new character, it's taking that character through the changes of life and, you know, reacting to victory, reacting to defeat, reacting to trauma, to love, to the loss of love, all of those things. And I just love that part of my journey, getting to work with such amazing talents, like the names that I just gave you. You know, they're all phenomenal people. And I've been lucky that, you know, I mean, some actors can be divas, some actors can be buttholes, you know. My cast are a dream cast. They're the dream cast. And we become this kind of crazy family. We look forward, no matter what else they're off doing. Maybe Zoe's doing a Star Trek film or you know, her new film, Amelia Perez, or whatever. They always want to come back. They always want to come back to the Avatar family and back to this world.
Great. And Jim, you've mentioned being inspired by communities and cultures all over the world as you've created the Avatar films. Can you tell us a little about the new Neytiri clans you will meet and the new environments that we will see in the upcoming film, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that. I just want to point out that I've been to Brazil a number of times. I love it there. I spent a lot of time right? It's a fantastic place. I've spent a lot of time working with some of the indigenous people. I've spent time in the cities, just enjoying the life in Brazil. But I think my journey, my journeys to Brazil have taught me a real respect for the indigenous perspective, to their religion, their culture, their kind of shamanistic practice, and so on. So there's two new cultures in Fire and Ash, the third film. We have what we call the Wind Traders, and they're nomadic, and they travel around the world, kind of following shipping routes, essentially trading routes. But they do it in an airborne fashion, and I think some imagery's been released that they move in these kind of convoys or caravans around the world. And they're pretty interesting people culturally. They're a lot of fun. We don't spend as much time with them as we do with the Ash people, the Manquan. And the Manquan are a group of Navi that are quite down twisted. They've taken what's good about the Navi and they've kind of twisted it into a very dark view of the world. And they call themselves the Ash people because their culture, their civilization was destroyed by volcanic eruptions. And so they just have a lot of hostility toward the world at large, to Ewa, to the sense of connectedness that all the other Navi have. And I think, we'll see in them some of the darker side of ourselves, just as we see the best of ourselves in the forest Navi and the ocean Navi. We see kind of spiritual beings that have a connection to nature, that have a connection to each other. We're going to kind of see the opposite in the Ash people, and so then the conflict arises from that. It's really about trauma. It's about trauma. It's about loss. It's about the sort of the need for revenge. It's about the anger and the fury that comes from having lost something, and we have a lot of anger, we have a lot of fury, we have a lot of fear, we have a lot of hate in our world right now. I kind of wanted to explore that. I don't want to make this sound like it's a terribly dark film. It's a film about this family, about the Sully family, but their challenges are not just as simple as fighting against those bad colonizer sky people. It's a bit more nuanced and complex world in this film.
Thank you. And with Avatar, The Way of Water, you introduced water as a stunning new environment, which must have created unique challenges to overcome during filming. Now with Avatar, Fire and Ash, it sounds like we may see fire making an appearance in some way. If so, how have these two elements impacted your approach to filmmaking and your approach to directing the cast?
Mm-hmm. Well, look, in the last film, we had the water world and the water people, the Metcaina clan, and we had to teach our actors how to essentially be very comfortable underwater, hold their breath for long periods of time. We don't have the same challenge with the fire because you don't live inside the fire. It's a different kind of element. It has more of a symbolic meaning. The fire people, the ash people, for me, the symbolism is around, fire is chaos, fire is violence, fire is destructive. The water is healing, the water is life-supporting, and so on. So there's an opposition of ideas there. But we basically, in this film, we reprise the cultures we've seen before. The forest Navi with their connection, the water people with their connection to the creatures that they have a bond with, which are the Tulkun creatures that are, kind of like Pandora and whales. And the ash people are the chaotic element, they're the violent element, they're the element of hatred that kind of infects the story. And you'll have to see how that all plays out. I don't want to get too much into the detail of the story, and it's not really just about a clash of cultures. It's really a story about this family and the specific challenges that face them as they have to go up against not one enemy, but two enemies now. The humans, the RDA, the colonizers, the ones that have come to take and destroy their planet, and the ash people. Because I didn't want it to be as simple as all humans are bad and all Navi are good. We now see that there are some good humans, very good, and people that we want to invest our time in as an audience. At the same time, there are some not me that have sort of broken their bond with Ewa, with the connectedness, with the spiritual. That's what I got.
All right, thank you. And we know this would be like trying to choose between your children, but do you have a particular creature in the world of Pandora that might be your favorite, Jim?
Well, I always like the predators because they're fast and scary, right? So the Thanator, the viper wolf, the big akula, which was a shark-like one. But I think I've reached a point where my favorite creature, my favorite species is the tulkun, the ones that are like whales. It was such a challenge for us from an animation standpoint to make them feel like real people in a body that was completely not like our body, and to give them culture, to give them a voice, to make individual characters. And you know, I do a lot of work with ocean exploration and ocean conservation. We had an Emmy award-winning TV series, limited series on National Geographic a couple of years ago called Secrets of the Whales. And I got to learn an awful lot in the making of that film about real whale culture. You know, I just have such infinite respect for these amazing animals, and this is my way as a filmmaker of celebrating that and hoping that maybe people will make the connection and say, hey, we have those. We have tulkun right here on Earth. And maybe we need to start respecting them more and killing them less.
We hope so. We hope so. And Jim, what inspires you as a filmmaker, as you're envisioning your iconic stars and building these fully realized worlds?
Well, look, I think you can see from my films that I've always been inspired by science fiction. I think you can see from having made a film like Titanic, which is completely out of the science fiction genre, that I love history. I'm just a very curious person. I like to read. I'm inspired by nature. And, you know, when I say nature, you probably get an image of a forest with some, you know, and animals, but it's also nature, the physical world, how physics works, how astronomy works. I was actually studying astronomy before I switched to storytelling. So I'm just very curious, and when I get excited about ideas, I want to put them in my films. And the other thing that inspires me, I would say more than anything else, is getting to work with great actors. I love working with actors. I love writing these characters and then having somebody breathe life into a character and letting me be a little part of that creation of a new living, breathing person that you see in a movie and you start to care about. And when I say you, I mean not just the people in Brazil, but around the world, people start to care about these characters. How crazy is that? It's just storytelling. It's the most ancient art form there is, I think.
James, I can't thank you enough for the honor of talking to you. Thank you very much. And finally, you want to leave a message for the D23 Brazil Avatar fans?
Guys, I love Brazil. I love that we have fans there. You know, these films celebrate nature, celebrate the people of nature, and you have some of the most incredible natural beauty in Brazil, in the forest, along the coastlines and so on. You have these living, rich ecosystems. I'm so jealous that I don't get to live there and be in that world all the time, and you have a rich indigenous culture going back. And I hope that these films will inspire you to protect that and conserve that and make it a part of who you are as Brazilians, not just the city life, but the whole life of the country.
We really appreciate that. Have a good day, James Cameron.